Welcome to the NC Spin After Spin. Additional comments from our panelists just available on our website. Chris Fitzsimon, what do you wish you had said on last week's show, but you didn't?
Well, we talked a lot about education. We talked about the choice movement. We talked about kids not being in traditional school districts anymore. And I'm going to go back to what I say. I think I've said it in the After Spin on this show many times. Virtual charter schools are a scandal waiting to erupt in North Carolina, and I think it feeds the perception. I mentioned that there was this traditional public school sentiment in the General Assembly when the Republicans took over, and there's no better evidence in the virtual charter problem. We just had a scandal in Indiana of fraud. We've had them around the country, and I'll go back and remind people, when virtual charters were authorized in North Carolina, the legislature ordered the State Board of Education to give contracts to 2 schools. The Republican, this is important, the Republican-led school board, appointees of Governor McCrory, came back and said, we can't do it. There's only one company who's somewhat reliable. The other company isn't good enough to give the contract to. The General Assembly said, go ahead and give it to them anyway. And now we've increased enrollment caps in virtual charter schools, and we have yet to have a thorough, independent investigation of how these schools are operating when we've had scandals in dozens of states across the country. This is, to me, an example of why the perception, whether it's right, I think it is true, that some members of the legislative leadership will do anything to dismantle traditional public schools. Why would you continue to do something when there's been scandal after scandal and your own party's Board of Education says we don't want to do this because the company's not reliable?
It's an accountability issue.
It's a completely accountability issue, and that's one of the things I think that's been missing in the school choice movement with the voucher schools, with virtual charters. There's accountability all over the place for traditional public schools, and we spend a lot of time talking about testing. Who's testing the virtual charter schools? How are they doing? They're not doing very well. And what about the schools where we give taxpayer vouchers to?
Interesting. Well, thanks for watching the After Spin. We'll have more video all during the week on ncspin.com.